Hello, everybody. Welcome to Book Club. To this week, we are doing Captain America 1. I see Lisa Noble renewed her membership. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate you. So this week was Alan's choice. So Alan will be leading the way. There you are, Alan.
This is like a very typical for a Golden Age book. Golden Age books are anthologies usually, where it's like a bunch of short stories, like shorter stories, rather than one story that goes throughout the whole entire comic. In this, we get I think it's like, is it four Captain America stories? Wait, I think it's
I
four,
thought it was
right?
two.
Yes, I thought it was four.
Yeah, I think it's four. I'm just trying to think. Is we get his origin story, then we get someone where he's meeting the psychic guy. He's
Yeah.
going up against the psychic guy.
I thought the
Then he's
second
going up.
one was Bucky. I thought the second one was like announcing Bucky. What, right?
Oh,
Remember?
I kind of consider that the first one.
Is that the
Part
first
of
one
the
too?
first
Okay,
one.
go ahead.
Okay.
Well,
And then there's the third one is like chess guy. And then we get the
Yeah.
Red Skull. So there's
and
four.
the Red Skull one was my favorite.
Yeah, so we got four altogether, and then we have two other stories as well. So there's a lot of content in one comic, but it's short things. And actually, the shortest is really the origin story. That's it goes by really quick. Basically, they're talking about how, wouldn't it be great to have a superhero, blah blah blah, and like let's make our own basically. And It's really very similar to the movie. If you watch the movie, where they have that room where they have all the machines and stuff, and they're gonna inject Steve Rogers with the serum. Now they don't go into the as much of the backstory of why he was chosen. They just show that he's scrawny, and all of a sudden, if Steve,
Basically, he was 4F the same day, and they made him into the captain. Oh,
yeah,
he's 4F, but he volunteered right away.
yeah. So and you know, I think this was going to be in a line of they're going to make more of this, super soldiers. Like it wasn't, he was the first, he's the guinea pig, but once it was successful, well then, hey, we can do a whole bunch. But before they can do all that, there's a German spy in the mix, and he shoots the doctor that is the one that is performing the procedure, and well, obviously he dies. Now that ability to create super serum is kind of destroyed. But not only to make that worse, to make one step worse than that is Steve Rogers then fights the guy, and then he gets thrown into the machinery and destroys all the machinery too. So just to make sure that they can't replicate this experiment,
Yes.
they do that. And the origin story for Bucky is one of the weakest origin stories in comics, probably. Bucky is basically the mascot for the military. He's just like a little boy that is the mascot, right? And like pretty much nobody knows that Captain America is Captain America, like, or Steve Rogers is Captain America. And one day, Captain America is getting his costume on, or Steve Rogers is getting costume on, and Bucky steps in and sees him. He's like, "Oh, the only way, you know my secret now. Now you have to be my partner." That's just the way
Well,
it works.
the lack of telephone booths on European bases kind of makes it, the lack of telephone booths makes it
Yeah,
hard to change.
yeah. So he had to change in his room. So
Yeah.
so he's like a little boy that just all of a sudden gets the suit. And then
I know. Where
he's
did that
Bucky.
come from?
Yeah, he
Suddenly,
just, it's
ba-bam,
like,
I had this made just in case you walked in on me.
Yeah, exactly. And then so he's like he's now the sidekick with no powers, and he's even like in the few stories that they have in this, they seem to throw Bucky into a lot of things, and actually Bucky saves Captain America in one of the stories.
Yes.
The one with the Red Skull. Actually, he saves Captain America. So quickly, I'll actually just focus on those two stories. The other stories, okay, quickly, I'll go through them all. The next story is the one with the he's a mentalist, I guess, that can predict the future, and it just seems like all these tragedies that befall America seem to be predicted moments before by this guy that's a stage show guy, and but it just happens that really they're saboteurs, and I don't know why. They're trying to work on America's psyche to demoralize America, basically. Um, and so that's the second one. They get beaten up at the end. uh the third story is a little bit more complicated. It's like this chess situation where this mastermind is got his lackeys, and they're going around killing all these major people
Yeah.
within the US military. And they're just like removing people from the chessboard, basically, is the thing that's happening. And they actually have like a chessboard with all these pieces on it. um and eventually they get destroyed. um you know Bucky, like, the whole thing didn't really make sense. I guess Bucky's like the lure that's supposed to bring in Captain America, because Bucky is like, they're trying to figure out who is doing all this stuff, and Bucky's like sitting and he's like thinking about who's doing all this stuff, and this German guy comes in and says, "Hey, I know where you can find out who is doing all this stuff, who's killing all these important American military people. You just go to this dark alley down a shady street and a shady building, and of course that's where you're going to find all your answers." And Bucky, being super smart, he goes and basically gets kidnapped. So, but before going, he leaves a note for Captain America so that Captain America knows that he went down the shady street and to the shady building. So Captain America goes there, and Captain America almost kind of makes it look like he's letting himself get captured so that he can find out where Bucky is being held. And once he knows where Bucky is, he then fights and beats up the main bad guy. And then there's like a microphone in the chandelier. All the other bad guys come in, and Captain America beats all those guys up, and thus saves the day. So yeah, that's the third story. And then the last story is the Red Skull. The Red Skull is basically wearing a mask, and when he attacks people, he's saying, "Oh, look in my face, you see fear, blah blah blah," and and they die from how fearful this Red Skull guy is. However, later on, once they actually capture the Red Skull, the Red Skull tries to do the same thing on Captain America. Captain America passes out. Oh my goodness, it worked again. But Bucky there comes in and saves the day, and he realizes that there's a syringe on the floor. And what this Red Skull guy was really doing was like injecting people with some poison so they would pass out, not from the fear, but from the syringe. So I don't know why he had to make it that complicated, but he did.
It's a distraction, right?
And
Like you're not looking while he's jabbing you. That's why.
yeah, I guess so. So then they they smash. Captain America smashes the mask, and he, even though he's been injected with the hypodermic needle, he's super strong anyways, so he doesn't die. And he smashes the Red Skull. And what happens when he smashes the Red Skull? They see that it's Maximoff, who's a spy, basically. And they fight, and then Maximoff falls onto the hypodermic needle and thus dies. So that's the last time we'll ever see the Red Skull again. And that's how it ends.
Well, when
Case closed.
When does he switch to Helmut Schmidt?
I don't know.
Because I mean, they didn't just make up that character for the movie. So
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure. And then the whole Hydra thing, I think that must be later on, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a pretty quick summary of all the stories. Yeah, so I don't know. So I'll give you my review. I actually think that this format of short bite-sized stories is better for younger readers. Okay, so you have to think of this as being comics, they're trying to introduce these characters to a younger audience. Okay. And if you're trying to introduce a character to a younger audience, you want something that's, something quick to digest, very, short story, gets to the point, has a bit of action, bit of tumbling and bit of fighting, and sets up some really evil characters and resolves quickly. Okay. And that's basically the format that they repeat 4 times over in this thing. I actually thought the origin story was kind of cool. I wish they had incorporated some of that elements from it into the movie. Like there was a scene when they were kind of going to this secret hideaway place that there's like this little old woman. And I thought that was really cool that this secret hideout that the military is using has this little old woman guarding it, but it's actually, they remove the face.
They did that in the movie.
Did they do that in the movie?
They didn't remove the face. I don't think she removed the face, but they did do that in the movie where they went into some sort of store or whatever, and an old lady was the storefront, and then they went in the back and they
I'll
went
have to
down.
watch it again. It's been a while.
They did do
okay.
that.
It's my favorite MCU movie, Captain America: The First Avenger. They nailed it.
I really liked it too. So she removes her face, and it's Betty. Is it? What's her name?
Second, no, I can't. It's
Agent 23 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
X-13.
X-13. Yeah. I'm going through my numbers. So I thought that was cool. But she's the love interest, isn't she, for Captain America later on?
Yeah, it's not Agent Carter, so I mean it's the equivalent, yes, but
yeah.
It's Betty White.
So but yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. So as I said, this is really designed for younger kids to get them in, and they get several stories in one book, which is kind of cool. And then they have the bonus other characters, which were kind of weird in the book as well. So you get like a lot of features for this book. In some ways, when you're reading those X-Men books or the ones where it's like a full comic, it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're a younger reader. So I think this was really designed for young readers.
Especially if Charles Xavier makes a speech.
Oh, geez, yeah. So with all that in mind, this is an interesting book because it's also pre-Second World War. This is before they actually get into the Second World War. But you can see that America is really ramping up to go to war. And they're already thinking about conspiracies that the Germans are infiltrating America. So that there's a lot of interesting things historically about this comic that really have to be understood. That this is pre-U.S. coming into the Second World War.
It dropped very close to the beginning of the war, yes, and it's like the first time Hitler was like an antagonist in the war. So I think that's the way I've been explained. It's very interesting, yes.
Yeah. The funny thing is Hitler's not in the book.
No, he's on the cover though.
Didn't
in the cover.
Daredevil Fights Hitler come out before this?
Yeah, but it
I
has
don't
nothing to
think
do
so,
with World
no.
War II America versus
I
Germany.
think that's
I don't know.
after, Matt.
Okay. I'm not sure because I know if you remember that was the famous cover that started the Daredevil series
Yes,
by
I
Les
know.
Gleason.
But that came out after. I think this is actually the first Hitler cover.
It might be. I think that's probably right. Yes.
So yeah, see, this one's earlier. But the interesting thing about it is that you can see that they are really trying to set up the fact that there's German spies everywhere and they're infiltrating. I think that's kind of cool.
Well, there were I can honestly say in the Action Comics of that period, because I've read most of them, there were quite a few stories just before the war as well of spies and Superman catching them and saboteurs, because back then it was against the defense industry because they were helping to arm the good people overseas. And
Okay, so yeah, so Wonder Woman had that too, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't know. So the cover, I'm going to give it a 5.
Okay.
Because I think it's an awesome cover. It's probably one of the most iconic
It's so
superhero
iconic.
covers of all time. So
Not mad at that.
it probably deserves a 5. The interior art, actually, I thought was pretty good. It's not as crisp as it could be. So I'm going to give it a 3.5. Let's say 3.5. I'll be nice to it. I thought, but I liked the action of it. I liked how they introduced the characters. There was like much more, like if you look at this compared to the X-Men, like everybody looks the same in the X-Men book. In this, the characters are much more distinguishable. Like the general bad guys, the lackeys are all the same looking. Maybe a few of them have a little bit bigger, but for the most part they all look the same. But this really did give a lot of character design to the individual people within the story, which I like. I like when they do that. I think that it makes the story more interesting. So I give it a 3.5 for the interior art. The story, actually, I'm going to give it a 4 because I really do. If you understand all the context and the way it's being designed, it's sort of the difference between a short story writer versus a long story writer. This is like really efficient use of text. It's like, how do you write like a full story in a very short amount of time? And they really do that. So the stories read really quickly, and it's a fun read. It's entertaining, and it's very quick. So you could read a short, one of these short stories in a couple minutes. It's like very quick digest stuff. So I thought the writing was really well done. They set up everything in a very short amount of time. How the bad guys think.
Yeah, I was able to read the entire comic during a halftime on Sunday. So yeah, it's a quick read. It really is.
Yeah. And then so writing 3.5. I give the book overall because it's greater than the sum of its parts. I'm gonna actually give it a 4.5. There's a reason why this is such a major book for comics. It does a lot. It sets up the major bad guy, which is the Red Skull. It sets up the hero of the story, which is Captain America, and it also sets up the sidekick. So there's like so much that's happening in this one book that it's greater than some of its parts. So I say it's a 4.5 overall.
All right. That was very well done. Thank you so much. I don't think we've had Matt second for a while. Let's have Matt go.
Okay, so I personally really liked the book overall. I agree with Alan about it being made for kids, and therefore the stories are short. And what I would say overall with the book is it's the first year of Batman pushed together into one book, because you have the sidekick, the origin, the major villain, and a bunch of little stories, to establish some of the heroes back. Like he's fighting against this chess guy. He's fighting against the psychic.
Mhm.
Those were similar types of stories that Batman had in his first year. And I'm not
Mhm.
criticizing it as a thing. I think it's great. I think take away Bucky's origin story, and you have the quintessential Golden Age classic book. It's well written for what it is. It's well written for what it is. It's well drawn. The Red Skull. I mean, like, there's actually some thought put into this. I mean, like, the fact that the Red Skull look me in the eyes and he's really
Mhm.
injecting people, or the guy with the chess pieces, or the psychic guy, he's a saboteur, but you kind of get
Mhm.
that feeling as the story goes on. But the fact is, it was well written for what it's supposed to be, and
Mhm.
and it deserves its place in comic book history. I mean, like, you cannot go better with a team than Simon and Kirby. You just can't. From that
Mhm.
period, it shows they work really well together. So the cover, again, that's a 5. That's an iconic cover. It is well drawn, well inked, well colored. Everything is great. The perfect proportions on the banner to picture,
Mhm.
everything. It's a
It
perfect
all
cover.
works together too. Yeah.
It's amazing, especially with the bright yellow, and the
Mm.
blue, white, and red. It just works. Period. The interior art, it's lacking in some places,
Mhm.
but you can tell, you can tell that they were putting their heart into this book.
Mhm.
So I actually going to give the interior art a 4.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I like Simon a little better than Kirby. And it is kind of obvious when the times, if you start to know the styles, you know when it's who.
Who's
Okay,
doing what? Yeah.
yes, who's doing what. And but the fact is, neither artist suffer. The book doesn't suffer for either artist. As for the writing, the Bad Bucky story brings it down a little bit.
Actually, I'm gonna just do a quick uh, defense of that Bucky story. I think it sort of caters to the young boys. Like, if you're a young boy and you think, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if I encountered a superhero and he made
Mhm.
me his sidekick?"
Yes,
And it's sort of like, I think it caters to that fantasy that it's that easy. If you
Almost
can
like
just,
yeah,
it's almost like the reader gets to be with Captain America, right?
yeah, but
yeah,
it just seems so silly. It's like, well, so to keep you shut up, you're my sidekick now.
yeah.
Okay,
But it's
like
sort of like, if
that's
I was a kid
little
and I discovered
that
Clark Kent and then
yeah.
he
Well,
lets me
that's a
be,
little corny, in my
yeah, it
opinion.
is. It is very
Okay,
simple.
the other part of, again, a Batman comparison,
Mhm.
Robin, once he was there, got into trouble a lot, and Batman had to save him. That
Mhm.
was carried on in the tradition of Bucky getting himself into little, like, things.
Yeah.
But Robin is a smarter guy than Bucky, because I don't see Robin going down and, oh, it's in an alleyway, yada yada yada.
Well, he,
Oh, we'll be
he
fine.
did want to prove himself. If before
Yeah,
that, it's like, oh, he sort of had the crook sort of get the better hand of Bucky, and Captain America had to save him before, and therefore Bucky wanted to prove that he could
but
be
see,
useful.
Robin is 8, and Bucky's probably what, 14?
I don't
12,
know.
14.
Bucky's really tiny. I don't know how.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anyway, the fact is that all of the other stories are well written, especially, like, my favorite was the Red Skull one. I've always been a big Red Skull fan, period. So, I mean, to me, that's a big one. But to me, that story is almost, and I say almost because the Joker story is just a little better, the
Mhm.
first Joker story. But from a point of view of introducing him, and he dies at the end, just like the Joker did.
Mhm.
Only there's no panel to bring him back, like they did it with the Joker with Batman 1,
Mhm.
but he's dead. So that tells me they weren't sure if this character was going to
Was
make it
gonna
or
go
not,
anywhere.
was going to go anywhere.
Mhm.
And the fact that Simon and Kirby only ended up doing 10 issues of Captain America is disappointing, because I don't think they got to develop everything as much as they could have. But For the writing, I give it a 4 overall.
Okay.
And again, the book is more than the sum of its parts. Because of its history, because of what it is, I'm giving it a 4.75.
Oh wow.
It's just, it doesn't matter how good or bad it is. It is a defining book in our hobby, and therefore,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Thank you so much, Matt. I'm gonna let D go third.
All right, so I'm just gonna kind of get into my scores here. The cover, I love the cover. I will not rate it a 5 because I haven't done that yet for any cover. And I, as much as I would do things I can't even speak about on YouTube to have this book in my collection. It doesn't make me rate the cover higher, but it is still a great cover. So I give the cover a 3.5.
Whoa, that's pretty low. I'm surprised.
I understand you say that, but there are 0 holograms on this cover.
You need your holograms. Okay.
No, but the cover is very good, and if you watch back previous episodes, a 3.5 on the cover means I enjoyed the cover.
Okay.
So I'm not looking at this as, oh, it's a Captain America 1. I got to suck its dick. I'm not saying that.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the cover, what I think of it. I think it's a 3.5. I will point to things that I didn't like on the cover that would knock it down a little bit. Not all the faces were great. Like, some of it looks really weird. Like, those 2 guys there are not doing it for me.
here's where the Simon Kirby does it. From what I read, as I did a little research on the book before we go, Simon drew Captain America, and that's kind of obvious, and Jack Kirby did the rest. He did the backgrounds. So you
Okay.
can really tell that those Nazi soldiers are Kirby.
So I'll tell you, that might be one of the reasons why I dislike this book so much, because I don't hate Joe Simon, but the interior of the book, I give the art a 1.5. Captain America was so distracting in almost every panel he was in. Like, I hate that so much.
Yeah, see, that's definitely Joe Simon.
That is such an odd looking bit of art for me. I'm going to go to a couple of other panels that really just ripped me out of the story. This one right here, I hate that so much. Like, what is that?
So
It looks like
I
a
sort
bad.
of like, I didn't mind all this because I sort of interpreted it as sort of stylized. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little weird that way.
But I think this is too early for stylized. Like, I think
I like that panel actually because of the shape of the shield.
Yeah,
the
triangle
shield. The shield is cool, but look at his mask. Look at his face. Like, his face looks like, we talk about differentiating different characters with different faces. Captain America has a different face in almost every freaking panel. It's so annoying. So yeah, I gave that a 1.5. Like, here's another panel. Like, I'm zooming in on it a little bit, but like, that is really rough. And I find that example on nearly every page. Like this guy right here. And then you go to you slide over, and it's the same character there with a bow tie. Like, it looks so different in 2 different panels. It's unreal. I don't know. That kind of stuff bothers me. And another thing that bothers me about the interior art, there are, and I know this is a Golden Age book, and this is kind of common for them, but there are almost no backgrounds anywhere to be found. And I don't care what era it's in. It always
You want
bothers
that
me.
depth?
I just want a little bit of depth. And there's so many times, like, you can get an entire panel or an entire page with no backgrounds. And you're just like, what did I just watch? Like, what room are they in? They could be anywhere. So I gave the.
I will say this only in defense of that. They had only like 5 weeks to get that book together, and back then people were I mean, like the quality of art was all get it out, get it out, get it out. So they didn't take as much detail as some of them used to do now.
Now, here's the deal. I will rate it how I do, and I don't like besmirch someone for, and I'm not being defensive against you. This is just like my thought process, right? Like I will count that against the book because it's how the book looks when I'm reading it.
So for me,
now,
I didn't mind it so much. I felt like the simplistic art kind of made the story read faster.
And that's kind of why I would agree with Alan there. That's kind of why I completely understand why you would,
because I kind of like
we value Dee's opinion. Let Dee do it.
He has a very valid point.
And I also want to finish my opinion if I could. Like here's an entire page with not one background.
You're right.
Like,
You're absolutely right.
It didn't even go into me.
You look at Captain America right there. That mask looks so weird on him, and it's different right in the panel above him.
Now,
like it is so different.
The reason there's no backgrounds is this is very early on in comic book creation, and this is coming from the strips, where in the strips you don't have the backgrounds.
And it's coming from my review though, so I'm gonna knock every Golden Age book that doesn't have backgrounds. I will fucking get them all.
Pretty much most.
Yeah,
of them
they're getting. All of them are getting it. Every Golden Age book can catch my hands for not having backgrounds.
Okay.
So yeah, interior art 1.5. The story, I struggled with the story, not because I hated it. I loved the origin. I loved seeing the similarities between that and the first Avenger. It made me appreciate the first Captain America movie so much more. I liked how the movie did more with it. I like how, like in this story, Steve Rogers got rejected that day, and then was a super soldier later that night. And in the movie, he got rejected and had to go through boot camp, and he had to try to be a soldier, and he had to prove that he was worthy of taking the needle for this. But like that doesn't shit on this book. Like that book inspired the movie and allowed them to tell a better story, I think. So if I was rating like the origin, I'm giving it a 4. But after the origin, I got really Bucky, the Bucky one. Holy God! Like Alan, I'm so glad you touched on it. It was Bucky became Cap's sidekick in 3 panels. It was it was unbelievable how easy it was to.
Even in the first Robin story, they talk about how he takes 6 months to train.
This one. This is it. He walks into the tent. Oh, dude, I didn't know you were Captain America. He's like, oh, you're my partner now. Like,
it was that simple.
And even though it's Golden Age, like I think that was poor for Golden Age.
Yeah.
But
as I said, I think they were really focused on efficiency.
Yeah, that was very efficient. But you know what?
Makes a good point. Simon and Kirby were moonlighting. They were working for DC at the same time.
Yeah,
and Stan Lee was the one that ratted them out.
I'll wait till it's my turn to give my opinion, but go ahead.
All right, and then, but I'll tell you, like, when we value efficiency, selecting a partner because he walked into your tent and recognized your face is a really efficient way.
That's D, whenever I told you I had a hiccup, that was the one you noted, bro.
Yeah. No, that is a really efficient way to make sure you've hired an unqualified partner. that will certainly die very quickly. But and then the stories after that were very typical Golden Age, and that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
There's a part of me that was sad that they killed Red Skull at the end of this book, but
Mhm.
dude, Batman did that with the Joker. Like,
Mhm.
so many of the good villains in the early times got killed, and then they saw potential, and then they wrote them back in. So I'm not holding the Red Skull against them, um, but man, the story, I'm going to give it a 3, and
Okay.
I wanted to go higher, but the Bucky really fucked with me so bad, um, and like that's me telling you though how much I loved the origin before Bucky got there.
Mhm.
I thought the origin was really cool. And then overall, um, I'll give it a 4, and that's better than any of the ratings I gave it.
Okay, so
It's
you
first
actually
Captain
gave it
America.
a high overall,
Yeah, and
more than some of his parts.
I loved reading it. I'm way
Mhm.
better at pointing out what I don't like about a book than what I do like about a book.
Mhm.
Reading the first Captain America, if you find it on your Marvel Unlimited or you find a bootleg copy online, it's a fun, good read if you like Captain America. And I do
Mhm.
like Captain America. Biggie's a way bigger Captain America fan than me, but I still love Captain America.
All
Um,
right.
it- so I give it a. So even though I was tough on I was very critical of the cover, and I know I'll give it the lowest score of anyone. Um,
Mhm.
I was very tough on the interior art. The story I gave a 3, but overall, dude, it's Captain America 1. It was fun to read it. I give it a 4,
Okay.
which might be one of my highest scores I've given on a book.
No,
Yeah.
he did really good.
Bobby's making a good point. It's the first appearance of the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah. All right, so for me, this book is so important, dude, in comic book history. This proves that Kirby had legs before Stan Lee even touched him. This was written by some Ed Herber guy or some shit, and Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. The art was done by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Stan Lee had nothing to do with this. Okay.
No.
I think he erased the pages.
He erased the pages.
No, like
Stan-
seriously, he was their gopher.
Yeah, Stan Lee
really?
was getting coffee for these guys. Yeah. So there's only 2 5s for Jack Kirby of all the Captain Americas for me. I slightly feel like Captain America 100 is a better cover because it's pure Jack Kirby, but this is the other 5 for me. This is a great cover. I got to look at it a little closer. I love the TV in the back. It's very detailed in my opinion. There is backgrounds in here. It's not just plain as every panel. My thing is whenever I hear people say that Kirby was in a rush and shit like that, I feel like that's a little fucking dismissive. I don't think that his art ever lacked or suffered because of the rush. He put out a quality product every time he did a panel. This guy's fantastic. And when I hear like, oh, they only had a week or 2, I don't give a fuck if he had a day. Kirby ain't gonna put out a shitty quality piece of product. So that's my opinion. All right. The Joe Simon cap does not bother me at all. Joe Simon's fantastic artist. He was actually leading Kirby at this point. This is a beautiful Captain America version to me. Even the Bucky, you got that beautiful White House in the back. You got every character looks
And
unique.
that yellow in the back. This is the yellow I was referring to, and it's just beautiful.
1941. This is a big patriotic thing. Before this, we were doing romances big time. This kind of moved a superhero foot forward for Marvel a lot, look at this beautiful inside art. Look at that face on that. All the villains monstrous. You could tell who the bad guys are and the good guys. The good guys are a little more polished. The bad guys have a sinister look to them. the backgrounds right there, like 5 weeks. You don't even notice that he was in a rush when people say he only had so much time. There was a lot of fucking shit going on in this book. When I look at the difference between the first Bullet Man and the first Captain America, it's significantly bigger.
This is way better art. Yeah.
The girl, she looks like an old sinister lady, you know, and they got the gun, and you see it really lining up just like the movie. They're inside the room, they're doing the experiment. She slides the face off.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done. That whole
all the Kirby mechanics right there, the machinery Kirby does. The doctor, he looks very smart, dignified. You could see Captain America growing. The doctor's like, even though it was a short time with his experiment, you could tell he cared for Captain America. The doctor was like, it's working, and talking to him the whole time. There was a connection. Now, whenever there isn't backgrounds, I feel like that's because it's the way the eyes are focused on each character. You don't notice the shit in the background because you're so focused on the character you're looking at. You know, you want to see their expression.
The simplicity of the art in terms of backgrounds actually makes you, as a reader, read it quicker.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what I was
look,
trying to get at.
You remember when we did Wonder Woman 1 and the facial features? This is fucking mind blowing to me. Like, this is a big jump. You see the back jump, and the face is done very well. That's a beautiful Captain America face. It is different when he has the mask on, but when he has it off, it's like, oh, this is who this guy is, you know? Captain America dies, the doctor dies, and Captain America just beats the piss out of these two guys. He really fucks them up. I mean, you look at the punches, they're bent over backwards when he punches them. Whop, whop. Beautiful.
I think that's the same guy. He just kept fucking him up.
Yeah. I think there was two of them in there, though.
No, it was just one.
Just one? Okay. Yeah, and then, you know, Captain America kind of makes his I got my suit on shit right here, and the newspapers and all the propaganda. Captain America's fighting the war. And I believe that Bucky is like a fucking Boy Scout, I would say, more than a military person.
He's supposed to be the mascot.
Yeah.
The mascot for what?
For the troops.
I didn't know they had that back then. Okay.
They've had boys as mascots forever. Like Romans did it. The English did it. Like they've just the page boys. You know, like they've had it forever.
Well, that was a cool thing in this. Like when you saw the movie, they turned Captain America into the mascot, and Bucky was still a soldier. Like I think that was a cool twist. Like they didn't abandon the mascot theme. They did a twist on it, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's weird that, you know, because Bucky they made an adult. And
to be honest, I liked that change.
Here's the thing about the history of our country is even my grandfather, like, I believe he was 16 when he enlisted. So
yeah, a lot of people enlisted young.
Very young. So it's not uncommon to have a 15, 14, 13-year-old.
Yeah, my grandfather joined at 17.
Right.
They'd lie about their age and just get in. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this panel right here with the fucking, I mean, the face is so weird, dude. And then the guy in the back, Cap's looking cool. It's got like the ball or all this shit. Bucky, he's a little excited, you know, or whatever, but that's cool. I ain't mad at Bucky. And then you got the Kirby monster elements in here, you know, like you got the eyeballs and you got the shit and a little supernatural vibe to it almost. Explosions. I love this panel right here with this guy. He's got like the deep shoulders and he looks hunched over and he's got a little midget minion guy. Like that's some evil ass looking shit, you know. I'm gonna scoot forward, not just because I'm like skipping anything bad. This is all good shit to me, but I like this. I mean, the women even look halfway presentable. You got that chick there. She looks pretty good for some female art, you know, not too horrible.
Yeah, I would.
And she's wearing red.
She's wearing a red dress.
this beautiful panel right here. I mean, it's just boom, boom. For me, it's just like splash. I love it. Splash. I love it. Let's see. Some of the shit I really like is whenever so Red Skull actually has a list and he's knocking people down left and right. He takes out like a general, a colonel or something.
Yeah.
Every time he gets somebody, he knocks it off his list, right?
And if I remember correctly, the Joker had a list in his first appearance that he had 3 guys specifically he wanted to kill, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
So
look at this Red Skull art, man. So good. That's the part where you're saying like he's scaring them to death and shit or whatever it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He takes out the Colonel. Bucky gets sabotaged. So here it is. Here's the list. And at one point he was like writing and I couldn't tell. It's like after Bucky, I couldn't see what he was writing. And I kind of wonder what that was. And later the list kind of changed. But he's got Major Croy, General Manor, Captain America, Bucky. Well, anyways, he gets the best of Captain America at one point. At least he believes he does. And Bucky does his first good thing in most of the comic, and he jumps on his back, and Captain America is able to avenge himself and come back from it. So
I love that last panel where he's like, "Hey, why didn't you stop him from killing himself?" And Captain America, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. Then you also had these other small stories, the hurricane and stuff like that. So for cover art, I'm going 5. Inside art, I'm going. I mean, fuck, I don't know how many comics I'm gonna look at that have. I think that FF52 had better inside art, in my opinion. But
I mean, he's much more established by that point, Kirby, right?
Yeah, I still like this in like a macabre, entertaining. You don't come away from this film like these are B character level people, you know. You feel like, oh, this is a big deal, you know, like this ain't a small thing. So I'm gonna go 4.75.
Yeah, the thing is, like, even though characters that only last like one panel that die, he gives them a unique look, so you feel like it's like not just some generic person dying. I thought that was cool.
Story, I'm going to do. I read this fast as hell. I enjoyed it. I mean, Kirby is such a master at having to be able to introduce something and make it good. It is not an easy thing to do, and he's such a whiz at it. And this was like his first superhero shot at making like a first appearance good and cool. He fucking nailed it, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go 4.75 again. Like, it was a good story, even with the Bucky being like a child and shit. Like, I'll get away from that. And then so 4.75, 4.75, 5, 4.75, and oh fuck, I did it 3 times. I didn't see it. Overall, it's almost a perfect book to me. I'm gonna go 4.5. I'm gonna go lower. So I don't think we missed much. We could talk about a little bit while I add it up.
So you did the opposite of all of us. Our average score, if you average the scores and then we did the overall went higher.
Yeah.
You did the highest overall like score per category and then went overall lower.
I did a 4.5. I left 0.5 for a perfect comic because it's harder to have a perfect comic than have a perfect score for each ranking for me. So you can have a perfect cover, you can have a perfect writing, you can have a perfect story, but to have everything to be an ace, that's just hard for me.
Now, here's a challenge, and I'm not saying anyone has to take us up on this challenge, but think about it. If you had to pick a book that would be the perfect comic book that could get the perfect scores, what would you pick? And you don't have to say it now, but
Mhm.
I think that's something to think about. And you don't need to think what other people would pick. What would you pick for that book? Like, because all of us have picked a book that we then kind of were like, I'm going to be tough on this one because it was better when I read it first time. And
Mhm.
that's an interesting one. I don't know the answer to that question. I just thought of it.
I don't either. Not right now. I don't. I would have thought Cap 1 might have been perfect, but it wasn't. It wasn't perfect for me. Maybe action.
Did you
one?
guys ever read Don Rosa's Scrooge?
That is not going to be a 5 for
Yes.
me, but
Yes, Don Rosa
The
is
art
really
is
good.
brilliant. The stories are brilliant.
Yes, I will say that. I will agree with Alan there. It wouldn't be my choice. And my choice, Biggie, would not be Action 1, believe it or not.
What would it be?
Superman 1. Why?
kinda-
You get the
yeah.
best stories of the first 4 actions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I kind of like Death of
And
Super.
you eliminate the Zataras and the bad cowboy stories and the
Well, my favorite like series altogether is the Death and Return of Superman. I kind of skip out
Yeah.
the funeral for a friend, but you put all that together, that's my favorite. So I don't know.
I'm right there with Biggie. That was one of my first reads as a kid. And
but it's very,
You know, in some ways, I kind of like these anthology books, and that's why I like EC comics a lot. Because in a way, I kind of find when reading like any of those ones where it's like the full comic is just one story, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. Like when it's sort of bite sized, I kind of prefer it in a way.
I'm a big fan of anthology books as well.
All
Mhm.
right,
I
you
love
ready
the
for
fact that some of them are coming back with the Brave and the Bold. If you were to buy, it's a thicker book, but they have three to four stories of different characters in it each month.
Mhm.
It's nice to see that it's back, even though it's named Batman, the Brave and the Bold. Like last month, for example, there was Batman, a Martian Manhunter, a Supergirl, and I don't remember the fourth one, but I think it was Robin, like just the two Robins by themselves, Tim Drake and Damian.
So our total score, Matt,
Yep.
Our calculator man in the group, we got a let me look at it again. 65.75.
Oh wow.
That's going to be
It
the top
is.
book.
That is the second book.
Oh, second.
Hunter Prey is still number one.
Really?
Top of Black Panther.
Yep.
Dude, y'all can't fuck with Hunter Prey, man. Can't do it.
We was pretty
Oh
generous.
no, that's not true. It's our third book. FF52 is also higher.
Okay.
Oh,
I
really?
did like the insides to FF52. FF52 was a little smarter too. You know, it's like it
was
attacked
a bit more refined.
But FF52 is literally 0.25 higher than
Wow.
That's good though.
so I'll get the score here in percentage in a second. 5.75.
I'm actually surprised by that. Like, I think it was D that really threw it off.
82.2, which puts it just below at 82.5 on FF2.
All
I
right.
think what we should do in future references is like drop the lowest score and drop the highest score, and then just use my score. And
So it ended up being third overall, with Hunter Prey still number one, FF2 number two, and Excalibur 71 remains the worst.
okay, well,
Hey,
at least we're
hey,
consistent
long
on that.
live Hunter Prey. Hey, I'm not next on this, but I'll tell you, when I get my next run, I like where Biggie started putting my head at. I'm going straight towards Death of Superman. And if I have to bring it there one turn at a time, I will.
All right.
Okay. I don't know if I could follow that because I've been itching to like do my own pick, but
I said I'll do it. I'll do it one turn at a time. We'll read it over the course of the next 4 years. It's all good.
Well,
Sounds about right.
I'm not gonna I appreciate D's 1.5 in the simple fact that we need to have different people's opinions on the the inside art.
Mhm.
Even though we don't agree on some things at some points, it's good to have a yin and a yang, like he might read a Alex Ross book and inside art gets a 5 and I'll look at it and be like, I don't like this shit, it's a 1. It could absolutely happen. So I'm not I'm very glad that we have a diverse opinions, because if we all just gave everything 5s, it would be a boring show. So Alan went, and I believe it's your turn, Matt. What do you got for us, buddy?
I put a lot of thought into it this week, and I was going to go one way, and then I saw something about this book that I think is neat that I will point out next week. But I've decided to go with Fantastic Four 353, the first appearance of the time, the TVA, Mobius.
Owen Wilson. First Owen Wilson.
Yep. So,
First
and
Owen
the time
Wilson.
variance, is it the Time Variance Authority?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. So that's the book we're going to go with, Fantastic Four 353.
Little
I
John
love
Byrne,
that cover.
And if you're going to buy this book, don't get the newsstand, get the direct, because it has him on the cover.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The direct.
Hmm
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, show me that again. I forget what it looks like.
It's just like,
oh, that guy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
and he's actually, I think one
He's
of
the Owen Wilson character.
yeah,
yeah.
but I think he's supposed to be designed after one of the people that worked in the office at Marvel.
I think so too. But
Yeah.
that isn't the Easter egg I'm referring to.
There's this fucking the Star Wizard or something. I think it's a Kirby maybe creation. I talked to Alan about this months ago, and
Mhm.
it's so weird looking, but it's cool as hell. It may not be Kirby, but it ain't Starman. It's a different thing. But
Yeah,
that just made me
we
think of
were
that.
looking into it. I forgot what it was again.
Yeah, but the art was really neat, right? It was kind of
Yeah,
different. Yeah. So Alan, dude, I fucking thoroughly enjoyed this book. I probably
Mhm.
scored it higher than the Panther. Like I think I did. So
Yeah.
Stardust
It was
ain't
just D
Kirby.
that brought it down.
Well, D gave 3 high scores too.
Yeah, he gave a high overall. Actually.
Stardust ain't Kirby. Who is it? Whatchamacallit? I've seen
Is
people
it
say
Star
it's Kirby.
Reacher or Star Reach?
Stardust. I think he's right. Stardust the Wizard.
Stardust the Wizard. Okay.
Let's see if
Oh
I can
yes,
find
it's
it
the
first
Wizard.
shot.
It's yeah.
Yeah, I love the artistic style of it. Stardust. I wanted to talk about, before we left, all the people that are jumping on the Jeff the Land Shark content lately. Yeah, here he is, Stardust.
That's just because of the video game.
Yeah, I love how people think they're experts in breaking news, though. That's Stardust.
Stardust. Yeah.
That's really cool. I'd love to have some of that. But
Cody
like-
Rhodes, baby.
Those are hard to find. Those are in like really obscure like Golden Age books.
sometimes I'll just look for Kirby content and I'll look at images and that'll pop up, but I don't think it is Kirby. But anyways, yeah, the Jeff the Land Shark shit. Like, okay, for example, Swaggle
Journo
Fraggle.
was going on about it, and Swagglehos was going on about it.
I wanna-
and Nate was going on about it in one of his videos too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Well,
Land Shark too.
I'm pretty sure D can vouch for me that I'm a Gwenpool fan, and Jeff the Land Shark was somebody I've been saying is a big character. I've actually put him in some of my speculation. I don't know that anybody else went out on a limb. I actually remember JP was doing that like 6 months later shit, and I was in his chat and I was saying, dude, Jeff the Land Shark ain't a bad book, bro. He's like, nah, I can't vouch for that. So I am used to going into these YouTube areas and being told that Deadpool comics suck, Gwenpool's a joke, and now all of a sudden Jeff the Land Shark is everybody's fucking favorite. I do think the community's a little fucking fickle, guys. I think that they just want to get that hot new thing and they're like, oh, that's cool for now.
So I think okay. So I'm gonna like kind of recap what Journo said and then what Swagahoss said. So Journo, what his thing was that it's not that Jeff the Landshark is actually popular. It's that people are speculating that he will be something because he's a popular skin in the video game. And comics
Yeah.
are dead. This is the way Journo talks. Comics are dead. Get over it, people. Your hobby's dead. You might as well just burn all your books today. And then Swagahoss's opinion is, hey, I'm right. I predicted that this Jeff the Landshark is going to be the number
When
one
the
book.
fuck did okay? You watch him more than I do. Did he do a previous video before this game came out and said this is a good thing to do?
Yeah, he did one video. I didn't watch the one video where he recommended it, but
Okay, he recommended
so he
it.
recommended
Okay.
it, and then Journo said, "Oh, you're totally wrong," and then he made another
Was-
video saying, "Look, I'm totally right."
Did he recommend it
sold
during
one
the
for
game
500
coming?
bucks
Did he recommend it during the game or before that?
before.
Before. Okay. All right. I'll back off of him a little bit then. All right.
So
Yeah, Nate has mentioned that Jeff the Landshark's already his favorite skin for that game. So,
yeah.
I'm not
So
surprised.
there was actually a similar thing that happened. Was it Fortnite that had the
Yeah. Gwynpool.
yeah? So
Gwynpool first appearances went up
no,
in
but
value. because
which
of
was the
Fortnite.
game where in the comic you had to buy the comic in order to get like some special code
I think that was Batman, but I don't
that
know.
was in the Batman.
Yeah, I think it
in the
was
Batman ones.
Injustice. Yeah.
Arkham something maybe.
Oh, maybe it was.
Oh
Arkham.
yes, maybe it's Arkham. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
We do see that spike, I guess, whenever there's sort of that crossover between the gaming and the comics.
Yeah.
I really do think Marvel wants to bring people over to the comics, and this is their way of trying to do that. I mean, if you look at the recent comic books that came out, there are some Jeff the Landshark comics. They pretty much tell you what they're going to try to promote with the new comics that come out. So.
It's a little interesting that they started with him, and there has been a couple series. There's 2 volumes of Jeff the Landshark, by the way, and they started with him instead of Gwenpool or Deadpool on that game. Like they're like, but if you look at it from like we want kids to get involved, it is a very like
It's a cute
Pokemon-ish.
character.
Yeah, it's a cute character.
It's sort of like
Anime.
in Fortnite, the banana character was really popular for a while. So you want a quirky character? Well, Jeff the Landshark is a quirky character.
That's
Yeah.
true. Batman Fortnite codes.
Nothing's more quirkier though than the ferret.
Biggie, check out Phantoma by Fletcher Hanks. Okay, I'll give that a look, Thomas.
So
I appreciate you.
Phantoma is from Jumbo Comics #2. It's her first appearance.
Okay, interesting. Well, I think we talked about that a little bit.
Or Jungle Comics.
Enough.
Jungle or Jungle?
So how have you got to your 4 subs yet, Matt, to reach your point?
No, and actually I lost one, so it's 5.
Oh, no.
5 to go. 5 to go to
no.
get to my big giveaway.
My
name right
my give big away.
Yes, my give big away.
So I actually just donated to that. I gave Bleeker the money for the thingy.
Nice. So yeah, he's got a big giveaway going. I'm trying to get 1,300 subs. There'll be a giveaway on my channel. Once I reach it, I'm about 22 away.
I give away at 5,000.
Yeah, I haven't done one since like 1,000. So
Well, you
I
did
feel like
one at
13.
4,000 there, Alan. It
Yeah,
wasn't that
so-
long ago.
Every 1,000 I give something away.
Well,
Yeah,
this will be
child,
my last.
something like that.
After this, I have one more unique number, and it'll be my last unique number. So,
Hmm.
because after that, we don't have issue numbers that are that big necessarily. So,
Well, you might have like if you did like action, they go into the
yeah, but
1,000.
that's ongoing, right? So,
Oh yeah.
Hey Bleeker, it was the 3rd highest scored book out of all the books. It did very well, by the way.
Alan, so what do you got going on in your channel, man?
Not much. I'm gonna show the stuff that I got at the con this weekend. So if you watch my video, I'll show some clips from the con, and I'll show I'll show the books that I picked up. I picked up my very worst comic in my collection, but it's
Ooh.
like it's the like has to be the ugliest book in my collection, and that's actually saying a lot because I have some pretty ugly books in my collection. But I think it was a steal.
Yeah, I had to leave. I had to leave before Alan really got into getting books. I don't know what he got.
Yeah, it is.
I only
It's
know a
pretty ugly.
couple of them.
I was like surprised when I saw it, so I bought it. A really ugly book, and I'm going to be showing that on Saturday.
Yeah, and if you
It's
guys
a golden
missed,
age book too.
if you missed me and Matt's interview yesterday, go check that out. We don't have a ton of views, but I'd like to get a few more on that. So go
We
check
got
out
up
that.
to 70 today.
That's good.
Yeah, I told you that a lot of people watched the review.
Yeah, I
You
find that people watch the rewinds a lot more, like rather than catching
Rewind.
the live.
Jeez. I can't think of words tonight. What's the hell?
You can see me on the hunt Friday night. I'll be doing a Thursday and Friday night stream. Alan does a Friday night hangout. For the next club that comes up, I think we're going to do a year review haul, and we'll just be showing books. Every panel member will be showing their books from what they've got this year. Only books from this year.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be it, guys. Thank you, everybody that came and watched Captain America. Thank you, D. You can catch D on my channel every chance I get to have him on. He's always on. And we will see y'all in a week with John Byrne. What's
Fantastic Four 353.
353? That's right, guys. See y'all later, man. Captain America.